Hey guys, thank you for joining me today. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tom LaHue, and we're going to talk about Enneagram Type 9. We're going to look at a kind of an interesting subject, what 9s might like about themselves, and what they might also hate about being a 9. And we're going to look at this book, The Enneagram Made Easy, and just go through this list that's here and just talk about it, see where it takes us. Just a reminder, in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com. I do offer Enneagram coaching. It's life coaching based on the Enneagram and relationship coaching as well. I do a lot of work with couples. And you know, the Enneagram is a great tool not only to know more about ourselves and help us to see a path forward, but also to help us get along with other people. I do have classes from time to time. As of making this video, I have the Mastering Enneagram coaching class coming up this weekend. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff and you're like, how do you use the Enneagram to actually help people move forward in life, that class may be exactly what you're looking for. Okay, so let's jump into this information. And I just want to slow down for a second and say welcome, 9s. We're glad you're here. I've got my coffee. It's my hug in a mug cup, and welcome. So let's look at this list. What do I like about being a 9? The first thing, as you might imagine, the first thing on the list is being non-judgmental and accepting. Well, isn't that nice? I mean, wouldn't it be great if more of us were like that? Look at right next to you, type 1, type 8. You know, they could be a little judgmental. Sometimes 6s maybe could be a little. All of us could be at times. Even 9s could be. But as a general rule, 9s tend to kind of come out into the world open and not wanting conflict, not wanting to create problems, not wanting to get on everybody's nerves. And so they tend to come out, you know, trying to understand and accept things. You know, you don't have to be angry if you just understand and accept things, right? And 9s have kind of dialed the anger down. You're an anger type, but you're not an obvious anger type. But how do you feel when people are judgmental? How do you feel when people are very critical, harsh, and judgmental, especially with other people you care about? Well, you might see the 9 then start to get a little bit upset. Or what if people are pushing your buttons and telling you, come on, Sandy, you got to make a decision. You got to get those forms in. Have you gone to the counselor yet and signed up for your classes? When are you going to do that? You better get it done. You know, if people start pushing on you, you might be a little bit more prone to anger. Let's say it that way. So one of the things that 9s love about themselves, remember, we're starting with the good list, and then we're going to get to the not so good list. But we're going to take some time to just enjoy the positives for a minute before we get focused on improving ourselves. All right, next one is caring for and being concerned about others. Yes, I think that generally that is a true statement, that 9s do care about others and come across as being concerned about others. Now, why do you hear a hesitation in my voice? Tom, what are you saying? Are you saying that we don't care about others? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what comes across as a general care and concern about others may at times actually be your concern for keeping the status quo and not upsetting the apple cart. And I want things to be comfortable, so I'm going to make things comfortable for everybody else because I don't want to live in discomfort. So I'm going to try to keep everything comfortable for everybody else and ultimately protect my own comfort. So I just want to challenge you a little bit that this positive thing might have a negative side to it at times, at least sometimes, that your actual motivation and goal here is not my comfort, but protecting your own. And that's something that could feel a little exposing, but in a good way, okay? Yeah, you could write that down. Tom said exposing in a good way. All right, so caring for and being concerned about others. Yes, again, come back to that. Let me just be positive for a minute. I think that's generally true. While 2s and 7s, you know, 6s, some 6s, we may be the friendly people on the Enneagram. In reality, 9s are probably the easiest to be friends with. So you guys might not, you know, oh, hello. You guys might not stand out sometimes like some of the other types do. But as a general rule, 9s tend to make really good friends because they tend to care about the comfort, happiness, and have a general concern for others and staying connected to others. All right, number 3, being able to relax and have a good time. Yes, that's where you guys shine. And you say, well, Tom, don't you relax? I try. Remember, I'm a 7, right? And so the 7 sin of gluttony mixed with a big pile of ADHD can make it hard to relax sometimes, because in my mind, like, the fun part is getting on the plane and going to that tropical destination. We're going to go to Hawaii. It's going to be great, kids. It's going to be awesome. Let's look at all the things we can do. Oh, we could rent jet skis. We could rent four-wheelers. We could go horseback riding. We could check out the volcanoes. We could see the ancient ruins. We could go to a luau. See, that's the way my mind works. But once you're actually there, what if your family says, we just want to sit on the beach all day? And do what? Sit here? Man, give me Tetris or something. Give me a book to read or something. But just sitting there and being in the moment, very hard for me. But I think as 9s, you guys might find this a little bit more natural to just be in the moment, to be in the present. That's why my tagline is be present to life, because it's so hard for me as a 7 to actually be present for life. I'm always in the future, or maybe I'm ruminating, or living in the nostalgia of the past, but it's hard to just be in that moment. I remember a 9 mom talking to me about raising her 7 child. So she's a 9 and her child's a 7. And they were in a line checking out at a store, and the kid was like, I'm so bored. This is so boring. We don't have anything to do. We're doing nothing. Just going on and on. And the mom said, we are doing something. What? What are we doing? We're waiting. And that general acceptance of waiting, that general acceptance of what we're doing right now is fine. And I think with 9s, they tend to be a little bit like, if what we're doing is not terrible, then it's okay. If what we're doing is not awful, if it's not like at bottom 0 to negative, if it's just a level 3, then it's fine. Whatever we're doing today is fine. And again, this makes you very compatible, very easy to get along with, a great companion. But it could have maybe a dark side too of accepting less in life than maybe you could be moving toward. But we're not going to deal with the negative right now, right? We're going to stay positive. Next one is knowing that most people enjoy my company and I'm easy to be around. Yeah, again, generally true. In fact, 9s will sort of hang into relationships a lot longer than maybe you should. Everybody else has already left this guy because he's such a jerk, he's such a narcissist, or he's such a whatever. And so nobody else is like hanging around him anymore. But if I ask you, you're like, oh yeah, Todd, he's great. He's fine. You just got to get to know him. You just got to, And 9s tend to be like that. Like you guys learn how to be a companion to somebody, even to the point of minimizing yourself, even to the point of having not good boundaries sometimes. And you might get to a point where even you realize, like, Todd's not a good guy. Like, he's not my friend. And everybody's kind of already told you that, but you manage to figure out a way to stay friendly, at least, with him. And now you might just kind of like disappear out of the relationship. Like, no. And then Todd comes and says, hey, Janet, is everything okay? I haven't noticed you coming around anymore. No, Todd, yeah, sure. Everything's fine. I've just been, busy and cheerleading. My kids are in cheerleading. And, Zachary's got soccer. So, yeah, no, everything's fine. Look, if anything was wrong, I would tell you. And that's where 9s can sometimes be a little bit like 3s, can be a little bit of that deceit. But it's not to like win you over or impress you. It's more like to not have to deal with crap, Now, again, 9-wing 8s, I think you guys might be a little bit more blunt, direct, and straightforward. To be fair, right? 9-wing 8s, you guys can be a little bit more snarky, like, yeah, no, I'm moving on. And maybe like, wow, okay. So sometimes 9-8s can be a little bit sharp. But as a general rule of 9s, you guys don't usually like to confront. Let's go confront them. Now, I think with a lot of work, you guys are very good counselors, therapists kind of minded people. And I think with a lot of work, you guys could be a little more confrontational and do it in a way that's very healthy and balanced, not trying to push your agenda, but actually just trying to bring healing and understanding into the environment, which is a wonderful thing. All right, so I'm easy to be around. My ability to see many different sides of an issue and to be a good mediator and facilitator, 100%. If you have a conflict in your life, probably the person who hates it the most is a 9, right? And part of the reason they hate it is because they love comfort and harmony. And so when 9s get involved in helping people work through conflict, you guys are awesome at it because you tend to very well hear both sides, understand both sides, be sympathetic to both sides, and you have this overriding desire to bring harmony and understanding into the world. And so if you can stay in the midst of conflict long enough, if your battery can handle it, if you can endure the conflict and the tension long enough, the discomfort it brings to you, you're able to bring that harmony and comfort value into the community. And that's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful gift. You might see other people, outperforming you and think, gosh, Tom, what's wrong with me? I just don't have the drive that they have. Yeah, but realize, you also are often the person that gets all of those high octane performers to work together and to create, symbiotic relationships where we can increase more value. That sounded smart. I don't know that it was very smart, but it sounded smart. I'm impressed. Okay, hug in a mug. Cringy. Okay, where are we at? My heightened awareness of sensations, aesthetics, and the here and now. Yeah, I've got a daughter, Kaylee, who's a 9-wing 1, and I would say that's 100% true. Her love for the smell of fresh bread, her love for fabric and textiles and clothing, or the perfect makeup. She doesn't overwear her makeup, and she doesn't spend a lot of money on makeup, but she likes the stuff she likes, and she likes to keep it simple, and she likes to make it look pretty. She likes to make it look nice. And I think 9s are very concerned about their environment sometimes, about things being nice and looking nice, especially 9-wing 1s. It's like you almost have that one, I'm going to organize everything. But it's like, I want my environment to be chill, calm, attractive, aesthetically pleasing. Tom, I must be a 4. I think I'm a 4 because I really am into art and I really care about beauty and I'm really trying to figure out who I am. I'm probably a 4. I've heard that one a lot from 9s. And I think it speaks to that aspect of caring about beauty, caring about understanding other cultures and appreciating architecture or appreciating landscapes or appreciating nature, appreciating the way other people do things. So you'd be a great travel buddy, a great travel companion for a 7 like me. Next is being able to go with the flow and feeling at one with the universe. Hippies. Yep. If you got that 9, 7, 4 thing going on, that tri-type. In fact, there is one that's called the hippie, and it might be that one. I don't really remember. It's been a while since I looked at tri-types. But, feeling at one with the universe, man. Everything's chill, yo. We're just out here surfing, sitting on the beach, taking in some rays, feeling the vibe. 9s are very vibe-oriented people, right? What do I mean by that? Well, somebody comes in the room that's got a negative vibe, you feel a disturbance in the force. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't hear me or understand me, I was saying you feel a disturbance in the force. You feel like, okay, there's something that just came into the room that feels a little uncomfortable. There's some kind of energy coming off of Bobby over there that everybody else is being repelled by. And you pick it up, man. You pick it up. And I tell you, a lot of 9-wing 1s, especially the girls, it seems like you can pick up even spiritual stuff that's going on. Isn't that wild? Do you feel like that? Sometimes it seems like 9s, I think 8s, 5s, those are people that have a lot of discernment. It seems like there's anybody could, right? 2s, 6s, you guys could all have a lot of discernment. But it seems like some types have this extra sensory perception, of just being able to understand things that the rest of us may not even experience. Seems like a lot of times 9s and 4s, they have this ability to walk into a room and be Something's not right over in that corner over there. Casper, is that you? Okay, so what do 9s hate about being a 9? Tom, I wish I was anything other than a 9. Oh, my life, I feel stuck for the last 30 years. Help me. What is it that bothers 9s about 9s? What do 9s not like about being a 9? Well, I got a list for you. Again, if you want this list, The Enneagram Made Easy, it should have probably been the first book you got when you started reading books on the Enneagram. You say, well, what other book should I get, Dr. Tom? Well, you should get the Enneagram Guide to Waking Up by Beatrice Chestnut. That's a great book. You might get one of those big workbooks, you know. Those are some of them are pretty good, but they're kind of heavy and weighty, and I don't know that you really want to go that deep. But then I would also say The Unfiltered Enneagram by Elizabeth, I don't know. I put the book to my other office, I don't remember. But The Unfiltered Enneagram by Elizabeth something. She's an 8, and that book is a nice big punch in the face. And we could all use that at times in a godly way. For Jesus' name. Okay, so what's hard about being a 9? Well, being judged and misunderstood for being placid and or indecisive. Hey, where do you want to eat, Margaret? Anywhere's fine. It's okay. Whatever you guys want. Shirley, I think Shirley was wanting to go to the Ponderosa. Well, no. We're asking you. I forget what name I used. Sandy, Margaret. We're asking you, where would you like to go for your birthday? Where do you want to go? And your brain goes back to some files that seem to have gotten erased. And the last time you had your birthday, everybody said you loved Cracker Barrel. So yeah, I think Cracker Barrel. That's what they tell me I like. What do you actually like? You know, you're a withdrawn type, right? So you might have to withdraw and get away from everybody and all of their answers for your life to figure out what you really like. You know, it's okay for you to be a person and for you to have your own interests and to like the stuff you like. You don't have to just agree with Tom in order to get along with Tom. In fact, I want you to be a separate person. That separate thing is a problem, isn't it? Right? Because what do 9s fear? Fragmentation. We're all upset, separate individuals, fragmenting from one another. I like to feel cozy, a part of the group. And, you know, under stress could look a little bit like a 6. Indecisive. What do you mean by that? Does that make sense? Is that okay? Okay, I'm not going to make any decisions until we're all on board. Indecisive. Looking for support. Trying to get assurance. That could be you under stress. Next is being critical of myself. For lacking initiative and discipline. You know, I think of all these things that I want to do. I want to go back and finish my scrapbooking hobby. How do you say that? I want to finish my scrapbook. I've got all the supplies. I even have a room. I've got 4 different desks that I can do scrapbooking on. I've got blue paper and red paper and yellow paper. But what happens, right? You kind of get interested in something, or you get around somebody who's interested in something. You get all the supplies and you mean to finish it and you actually enjoy it, but something happens where you just don't actually get it done. I love to ride my bike. Why don't you ride your bike? I love to go hiking. Why aren't you hiking? I don't know, it's just me and it feels like a lot of trouble to go out and do all these things by myself. Well, you probably have a big network of people that like you. Why don't you reach out to them? I don't want to bother them. And so the 9 could be kind of stuck, stalled, and not moving forward, doing things that they love to do because that's just me. It feels uphill. So is it really worth it? I mean, is it really... I don't mind. I'll just probably just watch some TV. Maybe just read that book I like. Okay, being too sensitive to criticism. What do you mean? Tom, am I a sensitive person? Well, actually, Jerry, I think, yeah, sometimes you are kind of sensitive. What? You think I'm sensitive? Tom thinks I'm sensitive. Okay, so being too sensitive to criticism, taking every raised eyebrow and twitch of the mouth personally. Hey, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking that maybe when we go on our vacation to Hawaii, that maybe if it's not too much trouble, wouldn't it be awesome if we could go see the volcano? And then somebody at the table looks at you and goes, okay, never mind, never mind. I'll just go back into my hole and die. I don't mean to cause any problems. And if you guys don't want to go to the volcano, that's fine with me. It's okay. So being able to scan people's expressions and realize, okay, I don't think they're happy about that. I think they're upset about that, or they're going to get upset about that. And I just don't want to see that. I don't want all that conflict. I don't want that drama. So I'm just going to shut it down. Shut it down. Very sensitive. And I've raised kids, right? I haven't raised every type, but I've raised 8s, 4s, 5s, 9, 6. And I can tell you, my little 9 girl, very sensitive. With an 8 and a 4, they came first, right? Grace is an 8, Madison's a 4. And here they are, little kids, being ornery. And Dad would come in there and be like, all right, you guys are done. Mom has put you to bed. It is time for you to go to sleep. Get back in your beds, put your toys down, and we don't want to hear anything else out. Okay, very 7 leaning into 8, 1, whatever, right? Dad's putting you're done. So they get in their bed and they look at me, And then the little 9 comes along. And I try the same tactic, right? Because she's starting to, they're making noise. They're staying up. They're yelling in their rooms. So I guess I'm going to do that. And I go in there and holler at them. Not really yell. I love my kids. I'm not going to be awful. But go in there and be the stern dad, You guys are done. Roll over. It's time to go to bed. Mom's already been in here 3 times. She brought your drink of water. So they're going to bed and they're looking at me, It's kind of the same routine every night. Then I go into Kaylee's room, who's a 9, and I say, and you also were done. And she's just like, oh, come on. And I'm like, uh-oh, I think I killed her. Because she couldn't handle that kind of stern dad thing. I had to be so gentle and so careful because she's got this ultra sensitivity to somebody being upset. And from then on, I realized whoa, this kid is different than the other two. The other two are very assertive and demanding and controlling. And this one is you just have to look at her a little bit. You know what I'm saying? All I had to do was just be like, Kaylee. And she would just melt. So it took a lot more gentle parenting for that 9. And if you didn't have, you know what? I'm going to get a tear in my eye. If you didn't have that kind of a parent, I'm sorry. Because I'm sure that was tough. Thanks, look at that. You guys stop it. You're going to make this 7 cry. 7s are often a lot more sensitive than people think we are. And really, honestly, there's a lot of sadness sometimes under that external happiness that 7s always portray. A lot of times there's a lot of sadness there. And, if you have a 7 in your life, don't be surprised at times if they start to get a little bit weepy-eyed. But, literally, it's the most sad thing a 7 can think of is growing up, time passing. So anyway, and I love my kids. My wife said too. I love my kids. I just love my kids. Okay, where are we at? Being confused about what I really want. 100%. You know what you actually really want is you want peace, harmony, comfort, and tranquility. That's what you really want. But then those don't feel like real answers, right? And so when somebody says at the management training, Sarah, what do you want for your life, Sarah? Are you happy with the status quo? No. Do you want to aim higher? Yeah. Do you want to achieve more than you ever thought was possible? And of course, who's not going to say, yeah, man, of course, right? You're going to say, yeah. Well, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life, Sarah? And the problem is with 9s, it's kind of you see all the options. You see 1,000 options. How am I supposed to pick? How am I supposed to know? I feel like an imposter at all of them. It's just me under here. And they say I'd make a good nurse. I don't know. Is that what I want to do? Tell me what I want to do. Do I want to be an accountant? Do I want to be a nurse? Do I want to work for, grandpa's shop and sell hats at grandpa's shop? What do I want to do? I don't know what I want to. How would I know what I want to do? I don't know. Sure, that sounds fine. And nines can sometimes struggle with this kind of like going inward and not getting the answers. Like it's almost like that sloth cloud is in there jamming up your hard drive and you can't really access the files that you see other people accessing. Tom knows he wants to be a pastor and Sam knows he wants to be a dentist, and these people just know they want to be teachers, police officers. But then when I go inward, I'm like, I don't know. I'm looking at this giant catalog of all these options and they all kind of sound good and they all kind of sound terrible. I don't really want to do any of them. Is there a job that just lets me sit on a beach all day? Okay. Being confused about what I really want. Let me ask you, Sarah, do you really want to stay with Dennis? He mistreats you and treats you like garbage and doesn't care about your opinion and is awful to the kids. Do you want to be with him? He's not that bad. It's not that bad. I've managed to squeeze out a little corner of peace in the middle of this chaos, and it's not that bad. This is what nines hate about being a 9. Okay, where are we at? Got 2 more. Caring too much about what others think of me. Again, 9 wing 1, probably a little more than 9 wing 8, but again, I want harmony, right? And if people are upset with me, that's probably the worst. My battery died, so I had to start over here. That idea of not being listened to or taken seriously or caring too much about what other people think about me, probably the worst thing you can imagine is everybody being upset with you. And like the last thing you hear is, "You're the problem, Sarah. This is the reason nobody wants to work here because of you. You're the reason everybody's miserable on this trip." And you probably would just think, I just want to die. Like I just want to disappear because I don't want to be the reason that everybody's upset. And so as a child, you kind of got this message like, be smaller. Don't create problems. Harry Potter, get back under the stairs or you're going to be kicked out of the house. Minimize yourself. Diminish your opinions. Diminish your voice. And see, when you think about it, that's what 9s kind of that value they bring into the world is everybody ought to be able to have their opinion listened to. Everybody ought to be able to have a voice because I know what it's like to not be allowed to have my own opinions. If I were to have my own opinions, then Dad would be upset with me. And so we literally are the same person. Dad loves the Bengals. I love the Bengals. Bengals, that's football, right? Or the Colts or whatever. I'm not allowed to be a separate person with my own opinions and my own voice and to argue and defend my position because that would create too much drama and problems, and then I would be cast out, separated, and divided from everybody, and everybody would say, "You're the problem!" And the last dying words of the 9 is, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And again, this makes you very easy to get along with, very easy to be a friend with. And as long as, it's not pushed too far, it's probably not a problem. But it could easily go too far to the point that you minimize yourself right out of a relationship and you're no longer even present to the actual relationship because in your mind you just want it to be okay. But it's not okay. And I want to end with this, right? Just because you recognize that something is not okay, let me say it this way. Just because you recognize that something is a problem does not make you a problem. You're much more likely to diminish a problem and say, it's fine, it's okay. I'm just making too much out of it. This relationship isn't that bad. Mom's trying to do her best. She's had a hard life. It's much more likely that you're going to make excuses for why everything's okay than it is that you're going to err on the side of being too blunt, direct, and having too strong of boundaries. So let's just end with this. If you're telling yourself always that it's okay, that's a problem. It's probably not okay. And it's not wrong for you to admit that it's not okay. You're not being a problem for recognizing there is a problem. And before we can ever really bring healing to anything, we have to accept the fact that there's a disease. We have to accept the fact that there's something wrong. And see, for you to do that, that means you're risking your comfort, your harmony, and your peace by acknowledging there's a problem. But life's not going to change. It's not going to change. And you say, but that can make me angry. You're an anger type. It might be good for you to get a little bit angry. I love you guys. Thank you guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next time. Be present to life.